do you think AI can help link trade finance to sustainability development goals?
Definitely. The funding is not done only for oil and gas. Green funding is taking place. Projects which are confined to qualified for sustainability, solar or wind or biofuel or biomass or renewables in substance. So correspondent banking also.
Is AI making trade finance more human?
It is. It identifies the good and bad transaction. It simplifies the trade finance transaction. The overall operational efficiency in terms of fund management between countries.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Green Generation podcast, where we decode technology, sustainability, and the future needs so that we can live in a better world. I am Shruti Seetharaman, your host for today, and media entrepreneur and a sustainability advocate. And joining me today is Dr. Seetharaman, a leading global voice in banking, in sustainability, and author of Corporate Consciousness. Are you ready to talk about international banking?
I am ready.
Okay. So first up, what we're going to talk about is give us the basics of what is correspondent banking and why should Gen Z care about it?
It's banking between two nations, between two banks. So this is international banking. Correspondent banking is your bank supporting your mission in another country through opening Nostro account, correspondent bank account. They also simultaneously open in your bank as a foreign bank, having a Nostro account. So both are meant for settlements, for export or import, or remittances. So correspondent banking is a common practice where you don't have your branch outfit, you operate through your relationship banking.
So just for context, for example, if a small textile owner in India is waiting for money from Europe or somewhere outside, is this basically what correspondent banks do? Is it moving that money?
Trade settlement takes place. First is if he is exporting to Europe, textiles for example, and he has to take the settlement after a limited period. Once the goods are exported to specifications, goods are in order, quality is ensured, it gets transported through ships or air and reaches destination. And the correspondent banks looks at the supplier and the buyer, come to terms, yes, all in order, you can go ahead with the settlement. Then settlement comes from the correspondent bank where it is getting imported and the money comes here and the exporter gets it in his account. Now, the compliance part of it, the documentation part of it, the goods transportation part of it are all integral part of the overall package. For example, if you buy this outfit, it goes through banks, multiple banks, and again, multiple countries. It's not only between two parties, export and importer. The transaction has to be in line with the global best practice.
But why has trade finance traditionally been slow?
Because of the documentation, because of the overall governing regulations in international terms. Sometimes there could be sanctioned countries, there could be limitations in terms of correspondent banking. Every country, has got its local banks and they have to engage with the foreign correspondent, and they may not have an agreement, so it has to go to another third party. So all sort of nuances are there in terms of export-import. It's a very intricate process. It takes time. Confirmation of the documentations, mismatch of the documentation means getting delayed in real order.
And AI helps that. For example, I'm asking you.
It simplifies in total terms because if there is a mismatch upfront, it tells you the documentation is not in full compliance. Change the documentation. So it gets into speed. you fine-tune it to compliance format, and then the transaction gets executed in real time. And once the goods are exported, payments comes in, and the authenticity of the invoice is adjudged. Everything goes in seamless fashion.
But for example, why does an LOC take 7 to 10 days to process?
Because of the confirmation of the LCs, acceptances, and documentation verification. Now the documentation verification is done through AI. Mismatch is there, it gets notified pre-shipment, and you correct it. So these are time-saving process now. It works now. It's predictive intelligence in substance.
Yeah, and trade-based money laundering is huge. So how does AI help reduce that or help?
Very true, very true. The accommodative bills are being designed to cheat the system. So when there are no real goods and services, they create an LC just to camouflage the foreign exchange and bring in the laundered money. So this is a very, very serious issue. See, these laundered monies are always used for wrong purposes.
Yeah.
That's where the bankers have to be vigilant. AI comes in to rescue. So it understands whether it is the real transactions or not. If it is accommodated transactions, then it will single out and bring it into compliance or identification, and the transaction gets rescinded, and the money gets stagnant. It doesn't reach the destination.
So I'm hoping, or I'm guessing that's what, I mean, indirectly we're saying that AI not just protects money, but it also is trying to protect trust.
Absolutely, because you have to have, create a society which is ethical. So the laundered monies are not good money. It comes from various wrong sources. So banking should not be an intermediary for it. It has to reject these kind of transactions.
And I must ask, usually big corporates always get trade finance, but what about small businesses?
MSMEs can get it. Alternate methods are there. Government support is always there for MSMEs when they export it. And transaction history may not be there, but if it's backed up by alternate sources and it's futuristic, the products are, again, a development bank supports it, and things are happening around the world for MSMEs or women, sometimes women entrepreneurs.
Yeah. They
have a huge innovation, and in global terms now, market is global, market access is there, and online real-time, women entrepreneurs get into transactions and money gets transported in real order. So it's all happening in global terms. It's a welcome trend.
Yeah, and sanction risks are also rising now. So
Yes.
How does AI help keep banks safe in this situation?
Irrespective of the country where it comes from, the global compliance architecture operates. That's where the compliance officer of a bank looks at which country you're importing or exporting and what sort of regulatory alignment is there. Political or economics, we need to have convergence in the process. Institutions who are branded, as a blacklisted, I should say, they should not be engaging in transaction either. So it's not only the country sanctions, it is institution also comes into perspective. So all these things needs to be measured. That's why the compliance for trade, international trade or correspondent banking is rigorous, and one has to be mindful of the challenges, and AI simplifies it. That's the advantage we are talking about.
And what happens if a correspondent bank faces liquidity stress, for example?
Early warning, you get it. If you know that remitting money is not going to be a solution because the bank doesn't have support systems and it is weakened by, in terms of key highlights of compliance, then you get an early warning and you don't deal with such correspondent banks. You go for alternative options. So it's predictive intelligence again through AI.
And now for students who are listening, I want to ask about Nostro accounts, which are basically foreign currency accounts held with other banks, right?
Yeah.
So why is it that they're so tricky?
Simply because it's foreign currency, number one, and it's a different country, number two. Number three, the currency fluctuations also needs to be measured and managed. Gap analysis in terms of currencies, because you have to fund it, and what rate, what day you're going to fund it, and if you are not having sufficient fund, the bills will not be honored. If there is a deterioration in the currency, that then consequential impact, you have to make it up. So all these things are intricate process. So foreign exchange management comes into perspectives. Currency ladder comes into perspective. Gap analysis, forex gap analysis comes into perspectives. So Nostro account management it should be efficient also. You don't want to have surplus liquidity there. You can't overdraw.
Yeah.
Transaction will not be honored. So you have a delicate balancing act where artificial intelligence lay the ground, integrate them. Informations are given well on time, the possible outflow or inflow and the gaps upfront. So you get an early warning and you keep moving in the right direction for funding.
And do you think AI can help link trade finance to sustainability development goals?
Definitely. You see, globally, if you look at the bigger picture, the funding is not done only for oil and gas or normal transactions. Green funding is taking place. Projects which are confined to qualified for sustainability, solar or wind or biofuel or biomass or renewables in substance. So they're also getting funded, and there are value advantage in doing it. And institutions who are committed for such compliance model, without greenwashing, of course, get into the limelight, and the market capitalization goes up for these institutions. So correspondent banking also plays a role. International trade also plays a role for sustainability in substance.
And now there's also another problem or situation is that there's been a lot of de-risking, which is basically banks cutting correspondent relationships.
Yeah.
How does AI help in this situation, or how can it help?
See, you come into play in cutting the relationship only if there are early warnings. If the institution is good, if there is a formidable nation-to-nation transactions taking place and it's not sanctioned, you're in compliance order, there is no need for cutting those correspondents.
Yeah.
You also have to see the cost effectiveness of managing these correspondent banks. If transactions are recurring, then you need to have a continuous conversation and making sure that you have a productive win-win model. Otherwise, you can always, one transaction in a few months, you can always go through external sources, and you can makeshift arrangements you can do.
Yeah, and the question is AI making trade finance more human?
It is. That's the very essence of the game. How it is making it human? Number one, it identifies the good and bad transaction. It simplifies the trade finance transaction. Scaling and speeding is essentially going in the right direction. Last but not the least, the overall operational efficiency in terms of fund management between countries, multilateral at times and bilateral at times, are all effectively executed.
Yeah, I think this was super insightful for someone, or share this rather with someone who you think or thinks that banking can be boring. And if this changed your outlook on international banking, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for breaking it down for us and making it so simple.
It's an intricate subject to a large extent, but banking is always global.
Yeah.
And whether you're a local bank or a private bank, you are truly global, you're truly public. So international banking was there, is there, and it will be there. But what simplifies international banking in today's order is one world, digital world. And again, virtual transactions simplifies the whole process, and transactions which needs to be complied to global ordinance and cost effectiveness, operational efficiency, human endeavor are all coming together by artificial intelligence substance.
Yeah, just remember, behind every transaction there is a human story.
As simple as that. You said it all.
Thank you so much for watching, and we
you.
will see you in the next one.